I mean,
I
if I
just
were
feel-
covered in hair and massively tall, I'd probably be spiteful about life too.
I'm spiteful about life as it is. Come on. Like the number one emotion that I act upon is spite.
Covered in hair and full of spite. Yeah, that's me in the winter when I haven't shaved my legs.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to another episode of A Ghost in the Magazine. I'm Steph.
And I'm Elle.
I'm Molly.
And I'm Al.
And this week we're popping off. Well, we're doing something with the Blair Witch. Is it the Blair Witch or the Blair Witch Project?
Blair Witch
Project.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think the Blair Witch is the remake.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I haven't touched that yet, and I don't know that I will.
I feel like maybe I thought.
I almost put it on when I was about to watch it for this.
Oh yeah.
I got it as a free download for getting the Blair Witch video game. Xbox is like, here, have the remake for free for some reason. I've never touched it.
No
thanks. I hate it.
Like, I don't want it next.
Okay. So, like, I don't know. I remember the movie being around. I know that I've seen it before this. I just can't recall any of my feelings about it at all. Like, I just blocked it out. But I remember, like, the VHS being, like, a very, like, spooky tape to me, like, before actually watching it.
That's because that was the thing that The Ring was on. The Ring lady. She was on a VHS.
Yeah.
You don't see her hopping onto a CD. No, that's not a CD. DVD.
Did
My brain broke.
Yeah, were there any movies about haunted DVDs?
Probably.
Not that I know of.
There probably is one, I just don't know what it is.
Probably not great.
I would bet not.
I think it's interesting we have so many people on this episode, considering there's like, I'm trying not to be like an asshole, but there's
No, it's okay, you can.
in this movie. There's nothing to watch except for Heather being insufferable. Because if I was stuck in the woods with this bitch, well, I would.
Oh, she'd be dead.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
The Blair Witch got her.
Yeah. Well, that's like the biggest ongoing theory is that there is no Blair Witch, that the guys just hated Heather so much that they staged the whole thing to get rid of her. They staged all of the twig things, all of the blood, all of it because Heather was so insufferable that they killed her, and that's like the big like theory of the movie.
Haven't you ever heard of like not returning a phone call? Like ghosting?
Yeah.
Maybe that wasn't a concept back then, but like I would just avoid the person if they annoyed me that bad. I wouldn't go through all that trouble. That seems like a lot of work.
I would not go into the woods with them.
That's where I am, because I mean, really the only person I've gone to the woods with is Elle. And I'm alive. You know what I mean? Like, we had a great time, but like it wasn't even the woods like this. Okay. One of the guys, I forget their names. One is Mike and the other one is
Josh.
Yeah.
Okay, they're basic white guy names.
Yeah.
Okay, so like one of Mike's like complaints was, "Oh, I came with you because this was like a scouted trip." Who told you that? First of all, even if Heather was like, "Yeah, I scouted this place," I'm gonna need some receipts before I literally walk off into uncharted territory, and you're the only one with a map. You're not Dora the Explorer.
But what gets me is that she said, they ask, "Oh, what's your typical Sunday?" And she said, "Oh, hiking in the woods." So how do you not know how to use a map?
It's just so confusing because it's haunted. It's not normal woods, it's haunted woods.
Well,
I don't know.
Oh, I forgot about the haunted trees.
It's got that dead kid energy that makes everything all weird and
respectfully, I think all woods have dead kid energy. I feel like You know, these trees have been around for a long fucking time. I know they've seen some things. Like, these could be the trees that saw that girl at the end of The Witch floating up with the devil and the other haunted bitches. You know, these could be
Mhm.
those trees. I don't really know. I
Actually,
just,
all the forests in my country are man-made, so there's no like natural forests left. They were all planted by the government.
yeah, but
Fun
like,
fact.
the government could be haunted.
Oh, that's a
Also
very good
fact.
point. The government
Definitely
could be
haunted.
I just don't trust, like, you just met this girl. She could be a murderer, you know? She could have
And it could
made
be the other way about. Like she doesn't know these men.
Mhm.
Hmm.
That's true, but she's the annoying one, so I'm like not even on her.
When he said that he kicked the map into the water, I got so angry.
I was mad before that.
Yeah.
So was I. But I got
I was
full
like,
level.
I just didn't think it mattered at that point. Like, the map was not going to help them. They were
Yeah.
beyond the map helping them.
if you don't know where you are on the map, then
Yeah.
you can't use the map to get back to the car. I don't know.
So
Not a good. This movie wasn't a good time.
No. I dissociated so hard that I saw the scene where Heather was like doing the like camera from here to here, and then I went and did my taxes, and then I looked up and the credits were playing. That's how like zoned out I got in this whole movie. I was like,
Yeah.
I missed screaming and whatever else happened, and the whole house didn't exist.
No, it was okay. Respectfully, I can respect two things, but you know, this was like the first big like found footage horror movie. It put them on the map or
Mhm.
whatever. I can respect that. I really can. I can also respect the fuck out of the marketing for this movie
Yeah.
because I thought it
absolutely
was
amazing.
very cool that they
We
did
get a
so
sticker for that.
that they thought these people were really like dead and missing.
Hmm.
Yeah, they
I
put up missing posters months before the movie even came out
but
around
that's
university.
the same kind of like ingenuity like that the Smile movie did for their marketing. I feel
Mhm.
like horror movies aren't that immersive anymore and like bring it back.
Yeah.
Scare me. Especially if the movie itself is not gonna be good. Do good marketing.
Yeah. I think it's hard with coming from a family of cinematographers. My family is in cinema, and they're just the people that they're around most of the time are that level of pretentious. And it's so hard to be invested in found footage movies when it's like the dude from like Butterfly Kisses and Heather, that they have that air about them that is just like, it's not even fun when they die because you're just so over the fact that they're you just let them gone, and it's like, okay, no, please just go away because you've just taken so much of my life and my time. And it's one of those that I'm just like, I can't. I'm slowly realizing the more I do this podcast, I don't like found footage movies because of characters like that. I just can't. Like Noroi the
Mhm.
Curse was excellent because the main character wasn't a cinematographer, he was a professor doing professory things. But when you have that whole like, I'm gonna go out and make a movie thing, it's like, I'm going to shoot you dead right now. I can't. Like before this movie even gets off the ground, I don't want you here. I'm done. I'm so
I
checked
think you
out.
just hate film students, which as a film student, very valid.
Like, and it's not even like I think it's just that stigma of just like, because even like, what is it? Wasn't the second Urban Legends movie or something like that? They were doing like film stuff and they were trying to recreate film stuff, and the character was like a pretentious asshole film student, and you're like, man, you suck. It's just, yeah, it
So it's
was.
definitely a trope that they're leaning into.
Yes.
So and it sounds like there might be some basis in reality there, and
You have people who are notoriously awful horror filmmakers like Alfred Hitchcock and, Stanley Kubrick, and like, and those people that are just like monsters, and you wonder if they just lean into it because it's like, oh, that's how they act, and so it's believable because that's what we see from these people. And Blair Witch did it first, and so now every other one has to have that butterfly kiss fedora man.
oh my god. And that guy from what was that movie with the one that was set in England? It was a found footage, and the main character was pretty much the fedora man. I don't
Oh,
remember, but the fucking character was copy and paste, I swear.
Yeah.
And he was so mean to his girlfriend, and like I just wanted to beat him up.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about, that piece of shit guy. I remember. But yes, and he was making a movie, and
He was a filmmaker.
a literal shithead. Yeah. So, I mean,
Heather walked so all of them could run, and
Yeah.
run they
Heather
did.
is just the worst. Okay.
Heather dribbled snot on a camera so that they could all follow.
Oh God,
That's
that
not even the worst part. That's not even. Go ahead, because if I'm alone or like with two dudes I don't even know in the middle of the woods and it's my fucking fault, it would never be my fault. But all of this and like supposedly these woods are haunted and I've just had enough of this shit. I'm gonna ugly cry into my journal camera also. I am.
I
Okay.
might, but I'm gonna try to make sure it's not looking straight up my nostrils. I'm
Right. That
I don't care
angle
about
is
that. I'm so mad right now. So I guess I wouldn't even be like scared. I would be like angry crying.
she definitely very much has that like millennial, like Gen Z TikTok thing of like the world is exploding, but we have to have the camera recording it. Like she was very ahead of her time, honestly.
Was she in other stuff? Or was this it?
I think this was it. She did write a memoir about how her life was changed after because people kept thinking that she was dead and like her mother was getting like cards and like peace lilies and like the world didn't believe that they thought she was a lookalike and she would like completely lost her whole identity because people thought that she was dead in the film. And so she did write a memoir about it, but I don't think she's done any other acting. If she did, it probably wasn't good.
If it was that believable, then that must be how she is, respectfully.
Probably.
When you
Yeah.
Google Blair Witch, because I was like gonna try to find her and like see what her IMDb is, but the first question is why bad? Why bad?
Why bad?
Good question, Google machine. Why?
Hi.
Yeah.
Why
I
bad?
was, my bad. I was looking for backgrounds for this and I just looked up Blair Witch memes and the first one was like, oh, I fell asleep. Are they still arguing about the map?
Okay, that's attacking me directly because I fell asleep probably 4 times. I kept waking myself back up. One time my cat jumped on me, so that was actually good job, Wicket. Thank you for that. But
That's a goodie, Wicket.
I couldn't
Yeah.
help it. It was boring.
It's a lot of nothing. Yeah.
Respectfully, though, I was really trying. I was really looking. I did zone the fuck out towards the end of the movie, but then when it was over, I was like, wait. Did they really spend the last 5 to 10 minutes screaming in this empty house and dropping the camera all over the place?
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh.
The majority of the second half of the movie, I think.
It was just like a bad camping trip. I thought that the interviews at the very beginning were very realistic.
Yeah.
Sounds just like what small town people would say, like to the T. And like, okay, cool, those are some good stories. Um, as soon as no, and then it's just like a bad camping trip. It's literally just like the outtakes. Not even like the good stuff of it.
Yeah, it's like they forgot to put the Blair Witch into the Blair Witch.
Spooky sticks, bro. Spooky sticks, and like
We
a
did get a
little
lot of
bit of
spooky
blood.
sticks.
Yeah, I mean they were spooky, I guess. I would, if they popped up where I was at, I'd be like, oh, but they were like, it's some voodoo shit. They're sticks.
They're sticks.
Not even bones. They're sticks.
Yeah.
Use them to light your campfire.
Right. It's Tinder. Wait.
Oh,
Yeah.
free sticks. Great.
Well, like,
Right.
also, who goes out? I don't know. Maybe it's just like a Pacific Northwest thing. But if I'm going in deep woods, like where Steph and I were camping, we're like established campgrounds. And the only reason I didn't take my gun with me then was because we were staying in a hotel that had a strict no gun policy, and I was not leaving my gun in my car in Seattle in downtown. I'm just not doing that. It's gonna get stolen.
Yeah.
But I would take at least a small gun out there with me because you don't know what you're going to encounter. I don't know if it's different in Maryland, but like out here, there's like cougars, there's all kinds of wild animals that could cause massive problems. So if you're in like deep woods by yourself, I would not go unarmed totally.
Yeah, there's
So-
wildlife all over the place. The fact that you're not even considering that, but I mean, like, they're going in with the intention of trying to find a fucking ghost. Like, they didn't bring anything. Like, nothing.
They didn't even have like salt or something if they believed in
Oh.
ghosts, right?
I
Salt
mean,
shot, bro.
do the BuzzFeed Unsolved thing where you have a water pistol full of holy water or some shit.
Yes.
Like, do that.
Easy. Easy.
And why did they go when it was cold out? That's the other thing. Why not go in the summer?
Anyway,
Right?
The days are longer, like it's warmer.
it's like
they're-
an impatient bitch. Like, I want to do this now. We're gonna do this now, and we're gonna do it now. And I
They
know.
definitely, like, this was for a project for school, and they definitely left it to the last minute.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, for a weekend, and this guy had to be back at work, and he just trusted this bitch he doesn't even know. I'm sorry, I'm
Right.
trying to less on this podcast, but then Heather showed up, and anyways, this fine young lady promised to have him back. We don't know her. Well, I would never,
No.
and I don't know if it's just like who I am as a person, but I don't trust very many people to get me to work on time at all. Not at all. If I don't have like 36 to 48 hours like of cushion time, it's not happening. We're not doing it because I have to be at work, and I'm gonna get.
Yeah, especially in the 90s when you didn't have like cell phones and GPS and
Mhm.
everything else. Especially for an unpaid project. I think that's the other thing is that Homegirl wasn't paying them.
No, not even in gum.
No.
So were they trying to hit or something? Like, why would you do that?
One of them said that he had a girlfriend, but I mean, I
That
don't
doesn't
know about the
mean
other one.
anything.
I know it doesn't really,
No.
but at the same time, imagine if your boyfriend said, "Oh, I'm going to go into the woods,
It's an
and you'll have no way to contact me for 2 days. And by the way, this random girl I've just met is coming with me."
With a bunch of camera equipment and beer.
No,
Yeah.
I would assume they're shooting orgies. No, no.
It reads like a bunch of people that don't know how to be out in the wilderness, and they had no business being out there, first of all. Second of all, I think that honestly the movie's execution of the lore is just piss poor.
Yeah.
It's good. It's not.
Because I had to watch like 5 YouTube videos to make heads or tails of it. And still I'm just like, why? Why do all this stuff? Why have all of this shit? And then there's like this time slip thing with it because they find her stuff underneath the foundation of this house that had burned down but was somehow there. But her stuff was underneath it as if it had been buried before the house was built. So like there's all this time incongruency, but we don't really see a mechanism for that anywhere in
Yeah.
it. That's interesting, but like tell me a story. Instead I just get a bunch of discombobulated idiots screaming out in the woods, and one of them looked like freaking this guy that used to play drums for us, and he looked like freaking low rent Will Sasso, and that's what that one guy looked like, Mike or whatever.
He
I just-
does. He does. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
he really does. Yeah, and I think that was the reason I was so disappointed with it. It was one, it's supposed to be this big, like intense, like, oh, it's a horror, staple type of thing. And I'm one of the few that 100% completed the video game. Like it's basically a glorified walking simulator. It's not a good game, but I played it for hours and hours. And the lore that they give you about the Blair Witch, about the home, about the time skips, about the wooden figures is all super fascinating. So I'm like hoping that I'm gonna get like, oh, more of this sort of stuff, and none of it's there.
Wait a
It's
minute.
just
More in the game
yes.
than
Like, and apparently I was talking to a friend of mine because he's a huge horror buff, and I was like, the Blair Witch sucks. He goes, yeah. Did you watch the original one or the remake? And I said the original. He goes, yeah, no, the original needs to be burned in the trash. The remake is awesome. It actually gives you actual lore and content and makes it interesting. And I was like, well, don't tempt me to watch this because I don't want to spend more time with people lost in the woods.
I'm
We
gonna have
Bring
to
some
make
us.
food?
I hate that about myself. No, I'm gonna have to watch it.
Yeah, I probably will too. I don't know. I like Lost in the
Right.
Woods stories, but I
Yeah.
also feel like if you're gonna go out in the fucking woods, know what you're doing. Because then at least it's not, it's like one of those books where the entire plot hinges on the stupidity of the main character. So if you
Mhm.
go out into the woods and you have no idea of what it is to survive in the woods, even at a bare minimum, and this is coming from somebody who is so anti-survivalist, I would just like run into an atom bomb going off. I still feel like if you're going out into the woods, know what the fuck you're doing. Know
Yeah.
how have like backup upon backup. And I kind of fucked up a little bit when Steph and I went, but at the same time, like we weren't deep woods at all. Like I probably should have had checked for my tent poles and stuff. Like I bought a tent from my brother and there were no poles in it, so we had to drive into a Walmart and buy a tent. Yes. Like, so I'm talking about like all of this like rugged Pacific Northwest preparedness, and I didn't do a good job of it myself. But like I said, I was staying in a state park for fuck's sake, and I thought I could trust my brother. You can't trust men.
No.
Never
Especially
trust
not
your
if they're
siblings.
related to you.
Can't trust your siblings.
It was a movie. I wish I would have been able to have seen it when it came out, because I'm sure I probably would have a whole different view
See,
on it.
I feel like this
we're
is one of those
young.
things that just doesn't age well. I believe at the time that it came out, this was probably such an amazing experience because of all of the build up to it, and you had to go searching to find more.
Mhm.
At the time, I can see why that was really engaging. But if you're making a film, you want it to be able to be enjoyed for a long time.
Yeah.
And they just didn't do that.
But I don't even think that movies do that anymore. Especially horror movies. I feel like that they've just kind of slipped into this thing where they want to shock you right then and don't really
Yeah.
care what you feel afterwards.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and especially with found footage because technology keeps changing so fast. It's like you can look at like Rec and VHS and those don't have the same kind of thing. And like nowadays you have things like Gonjiam, like Haunted Asylum, which is streaming, and it's, you know, it is very similar to Blair Witch, which dumb people who don't know what they're doing in an environment they're not familiar with, but it feels more modern, it's more engaging. But if you look at it like 10-15 years from now, when, you know, we're, you know, like all plugged into VR systems, we're like, haha, like they were streaming, they're stupid, what are they doing? Because it's not going to be the same, because things just change so fast. And so found footage is one of those that's very much like a time capsule, and then once you're past that gap of technology, you're just like, it's like The Ring's not scary. Nobody, my sister doesn't know what a VHS tape is. Like,
okay, yeah, that's valid about The Ring, but I still think that The Grudge is scary. And
The
that
The
Grudge
Grudge
is
is very scary. Yeah.
on VHS tapes.
My first cat, when she got older, when she would start to snore, she sounded just like the Grudge, and she would sleep in my closet. So that was fun to hear at 3 a.m. was this low Grudge growling noise, and I'm like, this is fun.
You know what though? I think if you have a cat, you're kind of ghost proof.
Well, not with mine. She only has one brain cell. Like she can't help.
You just go, shut up, cat, and then the next day you find out the cat wasn't in your room, and you're just like, oh,
Right.
No, I never. My gauge now is the dog. If she's not barking and she's not growling, then there's nothing in this apartment.
Yeah. It's a movie.
Yeah. I was really hoping. I don't know.
For something.
Like literally anything. I'm just looking for something, and I don't mind movies where they like leave the reveal till the end or anything like that, or you just get like tiny little teasing glimpses of something, but literally the screaming and sticks.
Like, let me see the witch.
Yeah,
Like,
like,
let me see at least a
reveal.
glimpse. Like, have her standing in the shadows in the trees. Pull a Slenderman. Like, have her standing in the background.
show
Like
her feet.
in Signs, that scene where Mel Gibson is in the cornfield and you see an alien ankle.
Yes.
Fuck me up.
Yeah.
Give me a witch ankle. Give me something.
Well, and she's like covered in hair. Like, give us like a
Yeah.
Bigfoot foot. Like, no,
Yeah.
Like
Blair Witch is Bigfoot
hair.
confirmed.
I'm like the way they were describing her, like that view. I'm like, give me a hairy ankle.
Right.
No.
Give me
A
like
hairy-
a twisted hand covered in hair, you know?
yeah, and then like it clutching a branch, and when she pans over, it lets go something.
Yeah, like, or like the tree suddenly moves and you don't realize that it's been the Blair Witch the whole time standing there in the
She's like,
background.
yeah.
Like,
Like, it just looks like a big bush, and then it like kind of moves, and you're like, oh
Yeah,
shit.
she probably does have a big bush.
She is the big bush.
Something, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not picky because, especially, I'm keeping in mind during this rewatch of the time. I can put myself into the time. There was nothing but stakes, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for you are focused sort of on the main character and someone's like running behind.
Hmm.
I'm a sucker for that. It gets me every time.
I also feel like they could have done a lot more with like the nighttime scene where they could hear the guy screaming in the distance and stuff. And maybe that's just because we watched a movie lately.
Outwaters.
Yes, the one that made me really sick, but it was good.
Yeah. Outwaters is great. Great found footage movie. It's wild. I mean, like, we had some differing opinions, but for me it fucks. Like, it's just, I don't know, it has a lot. You don't see all that much all the time. There's like a pinhole of light, but in that pinhole there's stuff in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like there was things that they could do. And I get that they were trying to be creative and low budget, but like how much would it cost to have a silhouette out there? How much would it cost to have like a fucked up looking glove with like hair on it? Like I'm just saying, like
Get someone in a fucking Chewbacca costume standing in the
yes.
background.
In the movie with like, oh, we found all the footage and then just showed the very last scene, last thing, a still of the Blair Witch walking by. Because they did that with Savage Lands, where that was a found photography movie, that the entire thing was set around a court case, and at the end the only thing that they had for proof was this guy's photographs, and at the end they just do this big massive reveal and all it's done is shown in Polaroids, and then it cuts to credits, and it's phenomenal. Like, you're saying you recovered the footage. Obviously the Blair Witch is going to be somewhere. Like, have her walk by, have her pick up the camera, like
Have her
something.
just come through the background like
Even that would be more than what they did.
Because it makes so much sense for like them being like absorbed in what's going on and the panic and the knowledge that they're gonna die out there because
Yeah.
they can't get back to the car. For them not to notice things going on in the background, but
Yeah. Well,
we're
they had a lot to work with. There could have been the child spirits. There was the
Mhm.
creepy guy that did the work for the witch, you know? There's a lot of different spirits they could have like run into, had to tangle with out there. So
they brought that house in far too late as well.
Yeah.
mhm.
yeah.
If they had found that near the beginning, that could have been unreal. Because that if they like lost the tent or something, it would make sense to stay in the only place that was shelter. And you
Yeah.
could have done a lot with that, especially with the little children hands all over the walls.
Mhm.
They
They
could have
could've
made that so
like,
creepy, and they just didn't.
yeah, they could have made it so like every time they try to get away, they keep coming back to the house. Like they can't get away from the house.
And
Yeah.
that's what the game does, is that it's because it's in that time loop thing that he keeps finding the house, and the house changes. He'll go up the stairs and
Yeah.
he'll come back down and the rooms change. And that's the other thing too, is that the stick things are supposed to house the spirits of the children. So if in the game, if you crush them and you release them, you anger the witch more. And so it's actually like they have options, and people have expanded on the options to make it such a cool thing. But you like look at this initial one, you're just like, this is so lacking in any small little thing. My taxes were more fun than watching the Blair Witch.
I'm not gonna pick this one up. Like
Terrible movies is why fan fiction exists.
yeah.
Bad decisions like
Yep.
this.
The problem
Yep.
with this with fan fiction is I have to have a character that I give a shit about if I was even going to consider fan fiction. As somebody who used
Yeah.
to
That is
many
a very
years
good
ago.
point.
These characters
would
are all
have to make-
hateable.
You would have to make
There's
your
not
own.
one good one.
You'd have to make your own.
I liked
Yeah.
the old man who they interviewed. He seemed
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
That's it. I want him in the woods because you know what? He'd bring a gun.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
absolutely would.
He would shoot the hair right off the head of that thing.
Well,
Yep.
the thing about the gun is like there's a lot of opportunity to get up to some fuck shit with that gun that actually backfires on them in a great way. Again,
Yeah.
more storytelling options. They're gonna run out of ammo. Then they're gonna be, it's just like the food thing where they start kind of like losing their mind because they realize that they can't like resist anymore. But you know what? In this one, like they had no defense. They had nothing to go against it. They were just like sitting ducks, and it was
They did not
boring.
bring enough food either.
No.
And for
I
as
want
big
to
as those
say,
packs were,
you're right. Well, 90s film equipment.
true.
those were a little bit big. I want to say that in the sequel, the main character is Heather's younger sister, and she's going to go find Heather, and I think she's
Why?
supposed to be less insufferable than Heather.
Leave her out in the woods.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, I read that, I was like, I don't think I want to watch more of a Heather mini-me, also with a camera.
Not the same bloodline.
Yeah, like just send
Scorch the
them
bloodline.
all into the house and let the Blair Witch in the bloodline there. Like, you be done.
The Blair Witch found the first one so annoying that she was like, I'm going to eliminate the entire.
And draw the
Family
whole family to the.
So what you do with that, you get somebody haunted by the Blair Witch, takes it out of the woods, then goes in and just annihilates the whole family when they go to like Thanksgiving dinner next time. Like, there's a movie for you. Spiritual hitchhiker.
Be like It Follows
Ah,
with the Blair Witch.
Just
it's so good.
fueled with spite.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
if I
just
were
feel-
covered in hair and massively tall, I'd probably be spiteful about life too.
I mean,
I'm spiteful about life as it is. Come on. Like, the number one emotion that I act upon is spite.
Covered in hair and full of spite. Yeah, that's me in the winter when I haven't shaved my legs.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's me right now.
Yeah, I need a haircut, so that is me right now.
1.5 chuds.
one chud.
One chud.
Half a chud.
It just went down.
I will give it 1.5 because it was doing something new and interesting, and that's it.
So between us, we make one chud,
One.
another full chud.
One chud. I'm sorry. I don't have to. I said I respect it. I don't have to vote for it. I don't care about the time when it comes to chudding. So
I respect the build up to it. It's very interesting because I actually did study it in school about how they built up the marketing for this. And it was really amazing and ingenious. But in terms of the payoff, I'm a bit cross.
yeah.
I will say that things like Ghost Adventures probably wouldn't exist without this movie in
That's-
retrospect, so I have to like slightly be okay with the fact that it exists because I love those stupid things. 'Cause, like, that's the thing is I'll watch like people doing urbex and ghost hunting and they're insufferable on YouTube, but at least there's some payoff because at least they're faking that something is happening. Like,
Yeah.
like at least there's a ghost in the YouTube video.
Fine that it exists. I don't have any issues. I appreciate it for existing. I'm not gonna watch it again.
No.
No, because you know what? This is the reason that paranormal activity exists.
Yeah.
And I don't care for that shit at all.
Mm-mm.
I don't mind it. I don't. Well,
That's
the
not
first
for me.
one. The first one. Beyond that, it gets a little much.
There have been some found footage bangers. I like Heidi. I like Creep. There are some that I have to give it up. I like some of the VHS movies too. So
the original Wreck, like the original, not the American one, was really good. Noroi was good. Like there are some. It's just a small in number.
yeah.
I think it's just it's hard to get right.
So you can find this podcast on the interweb at ghostinthemagazine.site or on Twitter at GITM Podcast. You can find me on Twitter at WitchXPudding.
You can find me at Nocturnical.
You can find me at night_time T.
You can find me at Maybe Mockingbird.
Okay, bye.